What is good, boys and girls? Welcome back to another trade recap. Let me just take you through my thoughts on this trade and why I lost. Alright, so on the higher time frames, what were we doing? We'd swept some pretty decent liquidity. We're also sitting in the range of this equilibrium as well as an SMT with correlating with ES, right? And with an with this SMT in place, I was like, alright, pretty bullish. We have some pretty low resistance liquidity up here. Some pretty clear draws, a few unmitigated gaps along here as well. So I'm like, alright, what can tell us that we want to move higher? So I go down, I look at the low time frames, there's nothing on the hourly. Normally I like to wait for an hourly gap. There's an hourly gap right here, which if you're trading in this spot, I'd be looking to trade up into that. So what do we do? Alright, I'm looking at this 15 minute here. I'm like, alright, if we can get above this, maybe we pull back into a continuation then to hit this. Right, so I'm looking, I'm waiting. We ended up selling off. Alright, a fair bit. Putting in another SMT. I don't know why it's taken 8 years to get there. But anyways, alright, so a lot of people will be like, alright, we just swept liquidity, we're holding this for 15 minutes at the same time. So keep in mind, we haven't inverses for 15 minutes, we're actually holding it, right? So at that time, I'm like, alright, well, if this inversed, it would have been a much better trade to look at this because it's telling me that we're holding bullish. But at the time, we've just told that and then started inversing that. So people, to be looking at longs from here, I'm not really had that much high conviction into this. So, really at all. And you look here as well. There's not a single fair value gap apart from this one here on the 2 minute, which is probably the only one I'd think about taking, but there's literally not even a fair value gap on the 1 minute. So people go down the 30-second enter, right, with this shitty ass fair value gap here, right? I don't care how good you say it was of a trader, it was a fucking shit trade. I don't give a fuck, right? Because we were holding this 15 minute, and let's see what and ES is doing at the same time as well. Oh, let's just do this. It's painless. At that same time, we were holding this, I think it was a 30 minute at the time. No, not 30 minute. 5 minute. Right? So we're holding that 5 minute as well as that. Anyways, it ends up playing out. Right? So, people were in this trade, and I just didn't have enough high conviction to it. If we had inversed out 15 minute, I would have contemplated this. If this overall move here had more sort of confirmation to it, even maybe it was a 3 minute clean 3 minute here, or even on the 1 minute, just a clean 1 minute here or something like that. But because it was just a shitty 30-second, there was just no conviction into this trade. The draw of liquidity was high, but at the same time, there was nothing stopping us. You probably could have got in at break even here, or just traded up into that, which was probably the most high convicting trade out of this move. So it ends up playing out. Right, and another thing that I was watching, right, so a lot of people also entered here at the 15 minute, the 5 minute CISD. Again, right, we had not yet inverses 15 minute. As well, we look at what ES is doing, we now have an SMT at this high. So there's a pretty big point of rejection. So we've taken out a decent draw of liquidity of the day, which isn't my full draw of liquidity of the day. There's still more liquidity to be taken. But we've taken out this with an SMT, right? As well as us still not inversing this 15 minute gap. So I'm like, alright, it looks good, but I'm not taking it. It's strong movement, but I'm still not taking it. I'm following my rules, right? If I was to take it, I'd be targeting here with your stop loss on one of the FEGs there, right? So that's the reason why I didn't take that trade. It definitely didn't look like a bad trade, but that's the reason. Probably thinking, oh, why the hell did you not take that? That was so clear. That's the reason why. So, just for that, not having enough conviction and confirmation through that trade, I was like, alright, so for me to see longs, I would like to see us at least get above one of these 30 minutes, or the hourly and this 15 minute, right? So, what are we doing on ES? We've completely above this move, and we're just about to get into this 30 minute. So, let's just go back down. What do we do? Right. We get above that 15 minute. I think we get that 15 minute close. Oh no, we didn't actually. We still have to wait for this close. So we still haven't got this close yet. right? 5 minute. We push up high into this 30 minute. And at the time, I didn't have the right 30 minute marked out. I had this FEG here marked out, so an unmitigated gap right here. So for some reason, I just wasn't paying attention to that 30 minute. And I was sort of very focused on like what ES is doing. Like I could see we were clearly above London's FEG here. We hadn't closed yet, but I could see that it was just London, like literally the most clearest draw here. I'm like, all right, well, second London gets to like ES gets to London, I'll get out at break even, right? So I was looking here. I'm like, all right, what else have we also done for confirmation? We've gotten above this 15 minute. We've gotten the close, and we're also sitting well above the 1 hour gap. And this is something where I've completely forgot about and think where I went wrong. On the 4 hour, I actually didn't even think to check that we were creating this gap, and I didn't really check it because this gap hadn't closed yet, so like it wasn't really a gap yet, like it wasn't a fair value gap literally made yet. But yeah, it's sort of a weird one. Like you can't really do much about that. But yeah, we're completely above the 1 hour, and I was like, all right, there's pretty high conviction. I had pretty high conviction for this to move higher, so I was like, all right, what can we see for us to move higher? So I'm like looking for some sort of continuation. And if you're in my Discord, you probably listen to me. I'm trying to talk about taking a bit more confirmation models. But this is also where I went wrong. Sometimes taking continuation models into a 30 minute, this is probably where I went wrong. Into a 30 minute gap, you could technically say 4 hour gap, but it wasn't created. Also just like this 15 minute fucking unmitigated right there. And taking out this liquidity, it was just sort of like not the overall best move. The best move would have been saying, for example, maybe this wasn't here, like that liquidity wasn't here. This gap was closed above, so we've just closed above it. That's when the continuation is just beautiful, right? I was sort of too hung up on ES, and honestly, ES is just fucking dog shit. No one likes it. So I'm not going to be basing too much stuff off of ES from now on. But yeah, just because we had tapped into that 30 minute and the 15 minute, just before that 15 minute, I was like, I didn't really think of it at the time, but in future, and taking this liquidity sweep, it's just like a very strong point of rejection, and could be the possible point of the liquidity for the day. So in future, I'd like to just take something where we're completely above the move and there's sort of no reason at all for price not to move any higher. So what do? We have a 3 minute gap here plus the 5 minute, so 3 minute and 5 minute both aligned, right? So I'm like, all right, if we can see some sort of move down here before we tap this, see what happens, right? We leave that unmitigated, right? Sorry, I kind of missed my entry there, I over-clicked a bit, but right, we come down, we tap this 3 minute, we get some beautiful closure above this, and before you say, oh, the price action was shit, right? At this time, if you look from past where this entry was, price action was beautiful. We displaced, we tapped, clean displacement off this 1 minute gap. Clean 1 minute gap, clean closure above, right? So I get the entry, right about here. I put a limit order here, got my fill, and I was targeting London high, right? And then another thing where I went wrong. I had my stop loss actually pretty low because I was just trying to, I think it was at the bottom of this gap here or something like that. Maybe even lower. It was at the bottom of the 3 minute. So it was pretty low. But I was just trying to play safe, going for that 1-to-1, right? Two things where I went wrong, right? I believe with this unmitigated 15 minute, I was looking at the midpoint line as one of my points of break even. But then I was also looking at ES, right? And what we were doing at the time there. Sorry, let's just do it on this screen because that screen is just honestly confusing. I haven't got it set up. So yeah, I was looking at ES. I'm like, we're so close to London. This is so clear. I had such high conviction to this trade. We had closed above this 30 minute. I'm like, all right, this is pretty clear. We've closed above the 1 hour. So I was like, yeah, this is nice, right? Let me check the 4 hour because I didn't get to check it. So yes, now this is the shit part. I didn't realize that this 4 hour had just closed and we created a gap, and we're now about to hold this gap, which I didn't know at the time, which was sort of just my fault. And also of us just being in the 30 minute gap there, I was just like, that for me in future, I'm just not going to trade try and take a continuation model when we're just taking out a draw of liquidity plus holding a gap. So I was just like, that's just something to keep in mind. But yeah, we've had some pretty clean confirmation out of that. And yeah, so let's just watch what happens. So I'm watching ES, right? and I can just see how fucking close we are. We got to this high. I was this close, like less than a point away, of putting my stop loss at break even, right? So I was just watching ES. I'm like, alright, the second we take this high and put an SMT, and I'll just get out at break even. So that's why I didn't put my stop loss at break even at this unmitigated 15-minute. So I was like, alright, well, with this edge high, we're just waiting for it to take it. Then I move this break even, and then we'll see what happens from there, right? So what do? We just fucking chop around, do fucking absolutely fucking nothing, right? It's just fucking pretty bullshit if you ask me. Then we also here, we edge it even more, right? We fucking edged like that much. That's, you know, fuck that is. I was like, bro. And I was just trying to follow my rules, stay disciplined to actually getting out at break even at the right point. Also in future, if this happens again and it's this close, I'm just gonna get out at fucking break even or put myself loss at break even, because it's honestly just bullshit. Also looking back at it, the biggest takeaway is just not short, like longing when we've already taken out decent draw liquidity and tapped into a 30-minute without inversing it. So the best thing to do here was to make this whole move valid, is to wait for this 30-minute to get closed above an actual closure, and then that same model, right? But at that same time, if that was to happen, I dare say ES would have taken London. That means there would have been no trading for that day. But yeah, you're better off just having literally no reason for us to move lower. In that happening, right, I missed my whole point of break even, whatever you want to call it, and ended up getting stop rated. So, honestly, I'm not pissed off. Like a lot of people are like, oh shit. Like I think I took the exact same trade as Blake. It's like, oh fuck, I missed this long here, or even this long. Like you can say that, but at the same time, it's a fucking shit trade. Like it's, when you look at it on paper, it's a shit trade. The only thing that was shit about my trade is that I was trading into a 30-minute gap while taking out liquidity. So that was the shit thing. But here, there was no confirmation in the whole trade apart from a 30-second fair value gap. It's up to you how you trade. But for my biggest takeaway, I've just sharpened my tools for being able to take continuation models, sharpened my axe a bit. I'm pretty happy I actually took this loss, because I'm just literally every loss you'd learn from, and you come out this side a better trader. So coming into the next week, I think I'm not trading tonight. I've got a race this weekend, but yeah, this is probably it for me. Hope you guys took away something from this. I know I have. So I'll see you guys next week. There's more to come. We're gonna get that payout because it's around the corner, and yeah, we're coming for it.